Welcome to 40 years of Christmas traditions, where Christmas past comes to life. A place where storybook characters come to life before your very eyes. A place where the typical hustle and bustle of the holiday season melts away and allows you to enjoy the sights, the sounds, and the magic of yesteryear. We celebrate a tradition 40 years in the making, with this behind-the-scenes look at the evolution of one of the largest Christmas festivals in the country. I, the ultra-charismatic and devilishly handsome master of revels, invite you to sit back, put a cushion behind your back so you don't get that little kink thing when you're watching something. Maybe get a beverage, don't spill it in here. Relax and enjoy 40 years of Christmas traditions, where Christmas past comes to life.
I've been here a long time. There was nothing when I came, but we helped develop it.
It was evolving very early on in the 70s, mostly due to just a few people. John Dingler, Archie Scott, Donna Hopper, all of us that were there at that particular time, and most of us were actually residents of the street. So we had our children involved as well.
It started off as something small, just caroling, and at one point even cooking chestnuts outside. I remember Dad and Mom and a lot of our neighbors all getting together starting this. There was Ann and Joel Watkins and Dan and Karen Satterfield, the Shirtings who lived next door to us. They would all get together. So there was a lot of involvement from the merchants and the people who lived on Main Street to make Christmas something special.
Archie had a sled, and we'd put a log on that sled and pull it down to the park and have a bonfire down there, and we'd sing Christmas carols and wish each other Merry Christmas, and that was our Christmas. And John would say, you know what, we should do this for the city. I said, John, I don't want to do it for the city. This is our Christmas. But knowing that that was the right thing to do, he said, we'll invite St. Charles to come.
5 gentlemen, including Gary Haddocks, John Dingler, Archie Scott, a few others, actually put in $100 to incorporate an advertising plan and a marketing of the promotion itself. So those were kind of the first early years of actually making it more aware to the public versus just starting out and just saying, let's get together and pull the U-log down the street.
It took on a bigger and bigger meaning every year because the attendance was just increasing.
Well, it was in the late 1980s when I became involved. Pop House, who owned Pop's General Store, he was carrying these figurines of Santa Clauses from different countries and different eras, and they were very popular. And so he said, I think it'd be a really good idea to have Santa Clauses dressed like this, going up and down Main Street, greeting people, visiting with them, going in and out of the shops. Well, we thought it was an excellent idea.
When we started officially talking about Christmas as an event on the street, I mostly remember Rhonda Dyer because she was the one always reporting as to what was happening.
Janice Boschert came in and she was kind of heading up the Santas. And she said she was very glad to see that there was another man on the street that could be one of the Santas that year. So my husband was a volunteer Santa, and all of them were volunteers at that time. From the first time that he did that, it was one of the evenings, There were 2 Santas walking up and down the streets. They'd even go in and out of the stores, but there weren't a lot of customers around. So he decided, and I decided, that we needed to try to do something to encourage more shoppers to come down and expand the festival. Well, one of the first things we did was we went to the city and asked for money. We presented them with a budget with ideas of what we'd like to do. From there, my husband decided that we needed to have baseball collector cards for the Santas, and that's the Santa cards that we have now.
I have literally, I'm not exaggerating, I have literally seen a little old lady in a walker jump out into traffic to get Santa's card across the street. Like, she almost got run over because she needed that card for her grandkids.
Another thing we did was bring in the town crier. The 10-block area was really long to try to explain to people what was going on at what time, when the parade was, where the characters and carolers were. So the town crier provided all of that information for us.
I got started with the festival. Rhonda Dyer was the chairperson of Christmas Traditions at that point, and she said to me, "We're doing this Christmas festival and we want to start paying characters. Our first one's going to be a town crier. Do you know any actors who might be interested in that?" And I said, I don't know, I'll do some checking. And I didn't actually really come up with anybody great, but I kept thinking to myself, Main Street's kind of really lovely. It would be fun to maybe just do it myself. We hired a couple Santas that year and a caroling group, so there were 2 whole Santas and 4 people caroling, and that was, with the town crier, was the sum total of the first Christmas Traditions, my first year in the early 90s.
We begged Jim Davis to take us on, and we kind of interviewed to be his helpers, and for Randall, my husband, to be the music director, and then I kind of took over and helped out with characters from there too.
I had been sort of acting as what we called the managing director for a few years. Jim was considered the producer, and then Liana was the artistic director. And so then we worked with Jim and some other people in 2003, 2004, and even into, I think, 2005. And then that was when we actually took over the festival. Jim was moving out of town, which is sort of the natural progression because we had been with the festival for the longest.
Our big contribution to Christmas Traditions as it grew was we started writing a lot of skits and adding in more written materials. We wrote a lot of things for the visitors' guides, and then also just kind of built some structure, I think, for the characters and for the carolers, and made it more comfortable for people to stay. We did a very large push to try and get the best talent that we could in the city while we were working on it, and it's really, really worked out well. Jim taught us a lot about many, many things. So we felt pretty generally prepared after Jim left, except possibly in the world of decorating. No one will ever decorate like Jim Davis does, but we will all keep trying for many, many years to come. But he kind of passed that on to Randall. Randall, in turn, passed kind of that style on to Melissa Byers and Christian Barfield, and then which I think has been now passed on to others too.
January of 2007, my husband and I bought a business on Main Street, and then in December of 2007 was our first experience with Christmas Traditions. And when I wasn't busy in the studio, I just stood on the porch and watched everything because it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. And then in 2008, I started helping to make the bows that decorate the street. And then after that, each year I helped a little bit more with greenery and then with the festival guide. And then in 2013, I was hired as the director for the festival. Would absolutely not be able to do this job without the help of the CVB. Karen Godfrey and Pam Scholes and Cindy Garrett at the CVB are always willing to help with whatever I need. I also have my own Christmas production team, so this year it's Ryan Cooper is the technical director. Ryan helps me plan all of the events for the festival and all of the special guests and all the things that will happen.
I think one of the cool things is Christmas Traditions. The traditions part of that isn't just a gimmicky title. You know, over 40 years, it really is something that people come back to over and over and over again. And one of my most cherished memories are from people who I've gotten to know over the years, both on the street and off the street.
Kevin Hester is the artistic director. He'll focus on the cast and the characters. Kristen Boris is the music director, so she is in charge of the carolers. and she helps make sure that they all know their songs and that they know their parts. She directs both the Cobblestone Wasseliers and the Sleigh Bell Singers. The greenery team, they work hard. They work in the rain and in the snow and sometimes long days, but they always get it done by opening day, and the street always looks fantastic.
That's how it really got started. It's meant so much to us, but I think it's meant a lot to St. Charles too. It's their way to start Christmas. And it's so hard anymore to really have a Christmas, and when you can come down with your family, and it really makes a difference. You can see it on their faces as you wish them Merry Christmas and have them go by. So it does mean a lot to all of us.
Oh, you're back. So many people have had a hand in organizing and involving this Christmas festival that we couldn't possibly begin to thank them all. So we're not going to. But we sincerely do thank them for all they've done. At St. Charles Christmas Traditions, you have the chance to interact with some of the most famous characters in Christmas history, folklore, and legend. From the majestic pageantry of our Santas from around the world, to the fun and cheer of the Sugar Plum Fairy, the antics of Jack Frost and Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh my goodness! Have you ever wondered what it takes to be a Christmas legend?
Character-wise, we've certainly grown from, the 6 or 7 characters we could field in the beginning to today we have, 30 plus characters on the street at any one time.
We've pulled from all over. We have kids coming from school whenever they're going to school. There's definitely been kids from Lindenwood over the years and things like that. We all just worked really, really hard in trying to recruit people as we went along.
We really look for the total package when we're looking at the people auditioning.
Outgoing absolutely. An ability to be on always. There's no off. There's no stepping around the corner and taking a breather, because when you're out there on the street, you are amongst the public and they can always see you.
It's pretty easy to tell at an audition, and it's really easy to tell, especially once they start in a performance. You'll be able to tell right away if somebody's coming back next year.
Liana and I always referred to whether somebody had it or not, right? And when somebody comes in and begins to audition, you can almost tell within like the first 5 seconds whether they're going to make a good character or not. You just know, because they've got that spark that really sets them apart from other people.
You really just need hard-working people who are just incredibly personable.
Because this is so much more than a play, we're looking for people with great customer service skills and can interact with people and will also not be scared by having to be out in the cold all day.
They always also had to have a little bit of a love for the season. I would interview people as well as audition them, and I wanted to know why they wanted to be here. Anybody who just wanted to earn a paycheck, they were kind of like out the door pretty fast.
No one involved in this festival ever looks at it as just a normal job. They don't look at it as work at all. No one, I guarantee you, wakes up in November, December saying, oh my goodness, I gotta go to Christmas Traditions today.
Those who are like, my grandmother did this Christmas thing, or my family has this tradition, and we talk about those sorts of things. And when I found people with hearts, that was sort of really the point. I knew that would bring the characters to life for the kids.
They have to be extremely comfortable with themselves, and they have to be extremely comfortable interacting with other people. You can't be shy, right? Because that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be interacting with people, interacting with the guests who come down to South Main Street.
We really wanted people who would just kind of fall in love with their own character. Whenever we were caroling, it was pretty much, here's all the Santa outfits. Who do you want to be today? Everybody take a Santa and pick and go on with that. And that will be your thing. And for that day, you can be whoever you want to be. That happens sometimes, but we kind of pushed a general idea of to stay your character. If you can't make it that day for whatever reason, if you have a conflict, well, then Frontier Santa's not coming that day because you are Frontier Santa for that year.
I'd always been interested in the history of Christmas, where did the different Santas come from and why did different countries celebrate Christmas in the ways that they do, I started looking for people to fill those types. I started looking for someone with a French accent to play Père Noël, and someone with a Russian accent to play Babushka. That sort of became the beginning of it.
Even with our Christmas carolers, you know, when we first started, you were a Christmas caroler. You came in, you put on the pretty costume, you learned the songs, you stood on the balconies, you sung the Christmas carols, which is fine. But one of the things we really added was to make each of those people a character and say, okay, you're not just singing tenor on Oh Holy Night or whatever it is. This is your name, this is where you're from, this is your job, you know, all sort of set within that historical setting of what would have been appropriate, you know, in the late 1800s.
You have a big number of people who have been there for years and years and they love it, but every year, no matter what, we always have a nice influx of fresh talent who always look at everything with fresh eyes.
I love to look at my Tiny Tims as they've grown up. So many of them are going off to college and all that. We have a Tiny Tim that just made his debut on Broadway last year. That's awesome. It's just something that wouldn't happen everywhere. And I'd like to think that we were his first paying gig. That's unique in St. Louis. You don't get paid to go out and perform everywhere. So it is a privilege to get to work at Christmas Traditions.
And so to see now that what started as 8 or 9 characters is now 30, 40 people on the street, wow. And I always said to actors who auditioned for me, you're changing lives. You know, those kids will remember those things. They will absolutely remember that.
Well, you people are insatiable. People of all ages enjoy Christmas traditions. The children are especially captivated by the magic of the festival, whether it be collecting cards from the Master of Revels, interacting with our Christmas legends, like the Master of Revels, or enjoying our Santa Parade, featuring. You'll create holiday memories that will last a lifetime.
I have a 4-year-old and we've come down every year. That's what's extra special about Christmas too. She thinks it's awesome that I have an in with Santa and apparently know every Christmas character on earth. So she thinks that's fantastic. She calls them my Christmas friends.
My daughter is 5 and she spends a lot of time with me at the festival. She's usually with me during the preseason events like the dress rehearsal and the dry run and the cast workshops. She believes that she is one of the characters for the festival. She has decided that she is Rainbow Girl, and she has a costume, and she teaches everybody how to make rainbows.
Wyatt is just 3, so this year he'll be 4, and he has just figured out that collecting the cards and the character cards are pretty easy out his door because we live on the historic district on South Main. So we wait for the characters to come by, and if it's a little too cold, we can step outside. So it's probably cheating a little bit, but he truly enjoys it.
One of her first memories of being on Main Street was the Yule log ceremony and the procession down Main Street. And it's a very cool experience for her because I think she realizes how involved Poppy was. That's what she called Dad. It was his sled that carries the Yule log, and it's still his sled that carries the Yule log. And all the kids who would get in line to pull it and the procession as it goes down the street, it's just incredible.
And she collects the cards just like any other kid, but she thinks it's pretty cool that Santa gives me hugs too.
She wants to walk on the street with the characters. She wants to carry a lantern like the characters, and they're all her best friends.
Now I have grandkids, and they come down. Everyone is so excited, you know, and always seem to be really in the Christmas spirit.
And what's awesome is it's my daughter's entire life, all 4 years of her Santa pictures. It's the same Santa. To her, Santa is St. Charles Santa and always will be. So that's special.
That's one of my favorite parts about having this job is that I get to see her with the characters, and they don't treat her any different really than they would anybody else on the street.
All the candles that are lit, all the carolers singing, it really brings the season to light. And that is definitely one of her earliest and favorite Christmas memories, is all these hundreds of carolers walking with us down the street and her knowing how involved Dad was in it, even though he wasn't with us anymore. Keeps him close.
Never gonna finish this thing. People from all over the world come to our city to experience the boisterous cheer, of our legendary Christmas figures, the joyful singing of the Victorian carolers, and of course the unique shopping and dining experiences that can be found along our festively decorated brick-lined streets. And St. Charles Christmas Traditions benefits the community greatly.
3, 2, 1. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful Merry Christmas.
Pinpointing one reason why this festival is so great, particularly for St. Charles, is like picking a favorite child, because I don't think there's any one reason why this is so special.
I think that Christmas Traditions brings a lot of publicity to St. Charles.
It sets St. Charles apart. We have people from all over the world, literally.
It's just incredible, and it brings so much attention to St. Charles, which is what the intention of this was originally.
This is an event where, you know, we have people of all ages, all backgrounds, from all over the country, all over the world who come to this festival, and there's something for them to experience.
You walk around Christmas Traditions, and if you actually just stop someone randomly and say, oh, where are you visiting from? My own experience is you've got about a 50% chance that that person is not from the greater St. Louis metropolitan area.
There are people reached by Christmas Traditions who wouldn't necessarily come here to shop. So a family with little ones would come to Main Street, and because they knew Christmas Traditions was happening, and learn about the area and fall in love with Main Street.
I mean, obviously, it's a huge tourism draw. It's great to bring money into the community, and it's great to bring fun into kids' lives, too.
The biggest benefit is the fact that it's a happy place. It's a place where they can bring their families, and all age groups enjoy the Christmas tradition.
We say that if you're not in the Christmas spirit by the time you leave, then something's wrong, because you truly will have the Christmas spirit after you leave.
There's definitely a lot of benefits for the city. There's benefits for the merchants of Main Street. I mean, there's benefits for the region.
The obvious benefit is an economic benefit. Certainly, I think all the businesses up along the Main Street benefit.
And it makes a difference on the merchants on Main Street. We need that. We need it so badly. And I always feel like I need it for me personally, too. You know, it gives you that Christmas spirit.
The street just becomes very magical, and it's wonderful for merchants. I mean, that is where you make your money to get through the winter for the months ahead.
It's very important for us to have an overnight guest who comes and stays maybe for a weekend or several nights, that'll stay and eat in the eateries and all of the places and attractions, because that is a true economic impact to the community.
It's also kind of a boost for the merchants. It kind of gives us that little bit of a push that we need to finish out into the year.
If the people that are here aren't purchasing from the merchants during Christmas season, they now know that we're here. They can come back anytime and bring their family and friends.
We're a very large employer. We are each individual little ones, but when you put them all together, that's a big bonus for St. Charles. And the city has really helped us.
And I've never been in a community that had such a unique event that fit the personality of the street so well.
That gives you really the chance to step away from all the madness and all the stress that happens during the Christmas season and have fun. And I think that St. Charles should be exceptionally proud of what they've done with this festival, and very proud of how it's grown over 40 years.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Hey!
Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Hey!
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Hey!
Oh, what fun it is to ride in a
one-horse open sleigh.
I'd never dreamed it would grow like this. I mean, when I see those so many people walking by, I just can't believe it.
Many of my dreams have come true with Christmas Traditions. It has grown unbelievably.
I hope that the festival continues to grow and that we continue the momentum of being able to add something new every year.
You have to find a way to add something new, and I think the people who are in charge of it now are doing that. You can see it, the things that they're doing this year. They're trying new stuff that's never been done before.
You know, it's very dynamic. You know, it has changed a little bit every year through the years.
I think we've done a fine job of moving ahead and yet keeping that feeling and keeping that look.
But just to keep it unique, keep it the old hometown Christmas that we all look for.
And it touches my heart, my little Christmas Jim heart, to see how great and big the festival has gotten, all staying within a very historical Christmas past coming to life.
I strongly believe, after seeing it evolve over 20, 35 years, that we do have to maintain a authenticity to it and a small town feel.
It's been fun to watch it evolve, now that Dad obviously isn't in it anymore, but other people have taken up the passion and kept it going and brought new energy and new things to it.
It just needs people in charge who are running it, who are passionate about the event, and who are not afraid to try new things and move it forward. Every person who's been in charge of it has brought their own perspective to the event, and it's always been building on what came before it.
It's exciting to see, and gosh, makes me think about where it will be in 5 and 10 years.
And I think that this festival is going to keep growing for years. I cannot wait to see what it's going to be like in 50 years.
And I'm sure that in 10 years, if I came back, I'll see things that I never would have thought of in a million years.
It has grown unbelievably. I mean, we had, when we started out, just a handful. But John was right, as he always was. I'm glad we listened.
Finished it. We hope you enjoyed this behind-the-scenes look at St. Charles Christmas traditions. We hope to see you and your family at the festival. Tell them the Master of Revels sent you. They won't care, but tell them anyway, just to see the look on their face when they... Merry Christmas and joyous Yuletide.